All right. So coming back
Yeah,
with
we
another
we need to have a smooth intro on this one. Were you about to do that?
a little bit. Okay.
All
Let's try
right.
this again.
Yeah, you go. What? Did you
I'm
freeze?
thinking how I'm gonna do it. All right. Thanks, guys. For that sounds like the exit.
It feels like the ending.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting, you'll spend it and be broke again. Stop wasting time on some nonsense and instead put it in a lesson. I know it's boring, but it's worth it at the end. I know.
What's going on, guys? It's Two Bros back with another video of the week. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can make money in an upcoming recession.
Yeah, the upcoming recession. It's looking
Yeah.
more and more likely every day.
Well, I guess we're in a recession, 2 quarters of negative GDP growth.
Yeah.
However, we've been in debates on if it's an official recession. Do you think we are in a recession or going into a recession? What do you think?
Whether or not you want to kind of view it as we're already in it or will be in it, I think that's definitely where we're at least heading. If you look historically at when recessions are actually announced, they're actually typically not even officially announced until 6 months into a recession. If you look like back at the previous recessions we've had back in '08 and 12 or wherever it was, they typically wait a while to officially announce it. Understandably so. It's not really something you want to, brag about, but it does kind of seem like we're heading in that direction, especially with interest rates rising. You see that in the news all the time now. Increase in interest rates can often lead to a decrease in borrowing money and spending, which can help contribute to a recession, of course.
Yeah, and that's obviously the Fed's whole purpose. Is the inflation's so rampant right now. Their purpose or what they're doing right now is increasing interest rates to convince you not to buy. So they're
Yeah.
literally making things more expensive to borrow money and to purchase and to finance. So you do it less, and in turn, with less demand, prices will start coming back down. In that, it'll start crumbling faster, and that's how you start getting into those recessions. And during a recessionary period, there could be great opportunity, and that's why we decided to make this video. But there is also some caveats and a lot of things you have to be very cautious about. Even a great opportunity, you have to be a little bit more cautious on if you think that's a good opportunity. Do a little bit more research,
Yeah.
and
The
hopefully that's what we can get into today.
the opportunities may be fewer and more difficult to find, but they're so much greater once you find them. If you look historically where the most millionaires have been made, it's oftentimes in recessions because recessions are marked by a pretty big decrease in overall value and everything. Because things you can kind of expect to happen in a recession is a decrease in pay and employment and value across the board because consumer confidence gets a lot lower, and that's also a part of just people spending less, like how we talked about the interest rates and everything. So as values, pay, and employment all decrease, a lot of things will kind of go on sale, so to say. And I know a lot of people kind of view that as a negative thing. When you think about it, when pretty much anything else goes on sale, we're all excited. But when a stock's value starts plummeting, aka going on sale, we view it as a horrible thing that we're afraid of. But if you really kind of change your mindset on it and are willing to do a little bit more research and digging, you might
Exactly.
find that that's the greatest opportunity right there in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like you said, that mindset shift of if you're our age or you're investing for a much longer time in the future, as long as you don't think the stock or that business is going out of business, then it
Yeah.
doesn't matter the value at the time. You're just like Taylor said, you're picking it up for sale. Just dollar cost averaging is what you're going to be looking towards doing during a recession, where basically you could put yourself on a schedule, and every Monday for the entire year you buy $100 of XYZ stock, whatever it is, and you never stray from that. You
Yeah.
always put $100 in on Monday and you always purchase on Monday or whatever the day it is or frequency it is. But dollar cost averaging is a big deal because it'll keep your emotions out of it and it'll really help you focus on just purchasing and just buying for the long term. And with that, as the market comes down, you'll buy cheaper. As the market goes up, you'll buy a little more expensive, but it's called dollar cost averaging because over a course of time, it'll average out and it'll be okay. And it'll let you float with the market without being emotional.
Yeah. And of course, on the other hand, let's say you're already not investing really, you don't plan on, doing this, you want to take a bit more risk. There are the more active approach to investing during these times. It's a bit more risky, of course, and than the constant investing, which I'd say a lot of people would recommend. But let's say you're looking to just invest in some growth stocks while they're on the cheap. A good idea to kind of look at when you're looking at these stocks is you want to look for companies with a competitive advantage that would be able to pass their expenses off onto the buyer and not lose sales. So someone who's dominating their area, and as prices are kind of all over the place, they're able to keep their prices high and not lose sales. Think of a company like Coke, who kind of dominates the area. Coke sales never seem to really drop. I know they went through a brief dip when all these amusement parks and everything were closed for COVID, but that was kind of a different situation. Now things like butter and Coke and all these things seem almost recession proof because people typically just won't stop buying it, even though it might be a good idea to kind of hold off on that, like
For
buying
your wallet
Starbucks
and
and
your
everything.
health.
Some people just can't really help themselves. Companies like that are a good thing to invest in because they have such a grasp on their little niche industry that their value is not going to really decrease with all this turbulence going on in a recession.
Yeah, and just to your point, a company that's not only built a name but built a brand. Like for me, I guess kind of in the South, you don't call it soda, or I don't call it soda. I call every soda Coke, but it's built a brand. It's just like a lot of other things. You don't call it by its type of product. You just call it by the brand name because they've taken over that market and they've built a brand. But also, one of the big things that I'm looking for, or I'm going to be doing a lot of times, is I'm going to be hitting dividend stocks harder because dividend paying stocks are typically it's nice to get that paycheck, but they're going to be more established companies that can take a slight hit. Your Apples and Microsofts, they built their brand and they're well established companies that you don't have to worry about them necessarily going out of business for a long time or something crazy has to happen for that to happen. And those are going to be your big dividend paying stocks. They're usually less volatile as well. So that's a big play. That's a good benefit for you.
And a lot of these well-established companies are going to have a good debt to equity ratio, which is another thing you want to consider when looking at stocks kind of in this time, because as interest rates and everything increase, debt becomes more expensive to roll over. So someone with a good debt to equity ratio or just little debt, is going to be much more safe and secure in these turbulent times. If a company doesn't owe anyone any money, it's very hard for that company to go out of business.
Yeah. And that's another thing. This is going to be a great time to buy real estate. Demand is dropping because things are getting more costly to borrow on, but the purchase price and asking price is going to need to start coming down if they want to sell that property. And the biggest thing, this is a great opportunity because you're going to have more leverage. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the cheapest house on the block. It just means that you're going to have more negotiation power. So you can get creative with your financing or your purchasing. Maybe the owner really wants to live there, but you really want that house. So you tell him you'll take over the repairs and everything, and you'll purchase the home and you'll rent it to him. So now he has nothing to worry about and you own the property. So you could get a little bit interesting like that. You could do an owner finance deal. I heard someone recently did an owner finance deal for $1,000 down at 1% interest. Like, is that not the most insane thing you've ever heard?
Yeah.
And so there's so many more options like that because you have the power at that point as the buyer, and the sellers are looking to get that property offloaded, and you can get a lot of great deals that way.
But another thing you guys can kind of consider, and I know this may sound counterintuitive, but is actually starting a business. I know what you're thinking. A lot of businesses are going out during times of recession. But on the other hand, if you are able to power through and everything and you have a good business plan, a lot of times there will be certain benefits like, suppliers are going to be more negotiable. A lot of people are looking for jobs. There is that less competition in certain niche areas because all these other businesses are getting taken out. Maybe they're not as well, thought out or don't have as good a business model or whatever it may be. So in that sense, it can be a definite benefit to starting a business right now. But of course, there's a little catch-22 scenario right there.
Don't remember if I told you, but I actually started my first LLC recently.
Is this for real estate?
Yeah, so I did it based on real estate.
Yeah.
So it is kind of, I started my own business, but in a thing I'm already somewhat familiar that we've already talked about is a great benefit, but it is starting a business. So
yeah, that's exciting stuff right there. I know a lot of people who swear by it. Some people never do it and have no issues, and a lot of people are like, if you ever come into this, you're gonna want it to be under a LLC and not under your name. So
yeah,
of course, obviously do your own research, guys. But that is exciting stuff and definitely something you guys should consider. I know Ryan's doing it right now, so
started the business. I took Taylor's advice and I started the business
yeah, there
during
you
this
go.
crazy time. Hopefully I can catch me a deal. But back to kind of the focus of the video. And so the biggest thing that I guess if you were in our shoes, what you would see is right now we are both saving our butts off, but we're setting up a solid emergency fund. We're both setting ourselves up for success in terms of if something does come across our plate outside of our emergency fund, we have plenty of cash to get after it and take advantage of that opportunity. So you would see in that aspect, and as much as you can, try and add a little bit of income, whatever you can do. You can get creative. One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm renting out. I have a larger lot where I live, and I'm renting out space. And right now I have 3 spaces rented out and one more that's trying to rent out. But we'll see. You get a lot of people like on Craigslist and Facebook type thing that they were so interested and then they never respond again.
Oh yeah, that's how
So
it goes.
we'll see about that 4th one, but that might cover half my mortgage right there, and that helps out a lot. So small things like that
Opportunities
you can do.
everywhere.
Exactly. Chase and I like to go to like the grocery store and pick up the little gigs you can do where you get $20 to try a new wine, or you get $20 to review a product. We do that every once in a while. It keeps us entertained and it's a little bit of side income.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, guys, just as a kind of synopsis, I guess you could say, there is such a giant opportunity to grow your wealth here. Like, for example, when COVID first hit, is kind of when I first started really investing in stocks. And a year down the line or so, I was up massive. I was up like 60% overall, which is insane over like a year span. Now, of course, things are going back down, crashing back down to reality, which like, we talked about how you can kind of see these stocks going on sale. It's painful to see when you already own them and everything. But, since I already do plan on holding these stocks for a long time, I wasn't planning on doing no quick flip or anything. I know that the market historically has always recovered. Now they're on sale again. It's a great opportunity to invest. So if you've built up your self to a point where you have that emergency fund, you have some extra cash ready to, kind of pounce on these opportunities, it's such a tremendous time to then, once this all recovers and starts going back up, which it always seems to, your net worth will have increased drastically. Your dividends will be coming in nice and pretty. You'll start off small, but as it grows and grows, it gets bigger and bigger. And it's an exciting thing to see for sure. Almost with anything, like you go to the gym, the first few months, you see the biggest growth. It just gets you addicted to it. You see your first dividend come in, even if it's like 8 cents, you're like, I just made 8 cents for almost doing nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to see. So putting your money kind of where your mouth is a great opportunity to get yourself really invested into this area. So just keep your eyes open. I know it can be a bit of a scary time. A lot of, consumers are going to, cut back spending on everything simply because of necessity a lot of times. But if you've structured yourself well and, you've hunkered down, made yourself valuable at your job so you can secure an income and everything, you lower your costs by maybe not doing all this extra stuff. Like maybe you don't go to Starbucks every day now. There's such excellent time to invest right here and coming into this next several months where the recession will be.
Exactly. So keep watching our videos. We're going to keep you guys up to date on everything we know and everything we learn. And as we go through, if we do end up, or when we get hit by a recession, we're going to show you everything we're doing and keep you guys updated on our trajectory, our path, our new ideas, our old ideas, how we're pivoting. So always stay tuned, always keep watching. Don't forget to follow us on here on YouTube. We're very active on TikTok and Twitter as well, so please go follow us there. Other than that, we love that you guys love to watch us on here, and stay tuned to the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting, you'll spend it and be broke again. Stop wasting time on some nonsense and instead put it in a lesson. I know it's boring, but it's worth it at the end. I know.